All right. Welcome, everybody. It is David Thomas. I got Mr. Jay Woolwine with me, and we are here for your weekly dose of motivation, inspiration, and education as we do every Tuesday around this time, about 4 p.m. Eastern. And we just want to, share some knowledge, some wisdom, and hopefully you get a lot of value from it. As I say every week, sometimes we talk about trading mindset directly, and other times we'll talk about personal development. Today is one of those personal development days. All right. So today we're going to be talking about how we are all a microwave society. Are we not? It's wild how many people will throw their hands up and say, "Oh, it doesn't work," or "That's a scam," or whatever. It could be anything. It doesn't mean it could be any extracurricular activity. They could say that about not just trading as well, but just because they're not seeing results immediately. It's like they've convinced themselves that if something doesn't pay off in 2 seconds, it's worthless. We live, like I said, in this microwave society where everyone expects instant gratification. Like everything should work as fast as heating up a bowl of soup. It's just life doesn't work like that. Success doesn't work like that. You've got to put in the time. You've got to put in the effort consistently. And it can get frustrating to see so many people give up before they've gotten really off the starting block.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like people just forget or they never had the value of being persistent, right? They think that if they don't, get rich or lose weight or master a skill or get their 10,000 followers on faceless flipping or whatever it is, right? that the whole thing is broken or it's rigged, right? They're only helping these guys. Or I mean, it's just insane. I mean, it's anything that's worth anything, right? Anything that's worth having takes time, it takes effort, it takes being consistent, right? And you don't plant one seed and then have a full grown tree the next morning, right? Or even a month later, right? That's not how it works, right? And that's how so many people act. Like that's the expectation, right? You have to water the seed, right? You have to water it for weeks. Then what happens? Like you've seen those little germination videos, right? You get like this little blink, right? And but but people act like it doesn't sprout fast enough, right? And then they quit and they just throw the plant in the garbage, right? Because they don't have the beanstalk when they woke up, right? So they blame the soil or they blame the seed or there wasn't enough sunlight. Um, I mean, it just doesn't matter. The truth is they're not putting in the work, right? Or they're just not being patient and giving it time, right? They need to be real with themselves about what the reality is, being realistic, setting realistic expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing you mentioned about putting in the work. I mean, a lot of people do put in the work, but they just don't give it enough time, you know? And it's not like the things that people are trying, trading, building the business or anything that you can be successful on, right? Whatever hustle you're on, it's not like they don't work. Many people are successful about with them. But what you don't want to hear, what most people don't want to hear, is that consistency is the key, right? Instead, what would they rather do? Whine, complain, call it a scam. So they don't have to face the fact that they gave up too soon. It's easier that way. Instead of knowing the truth and saying, "Oh, I just quit," they they say, "Oh, that doesn't work." For example, take obviously the classic example of getting in shape. You'll hear somebody say, "Oh, dieting doesn't work for me," or "Working out doesn't work for me," or "This program is trash," or "I tried that and it didn't work. I followed it for a couple weeks. I didn't see any results." Right? And but the truth is, they just weren't consistent with it. It's the same with any business or any endeavor that you're going to go through in life. People start a venture, they expect to make six figures in the first month. When it doesn't happen, they quit instead of learning, tweaking, and just grinding.
Yeah, and that's the mindset problem right there, right? Is that people are kind of addicted to that idea of quick wins, right? The Polaroid society or the microwave. You know, they're they're more focused on taking shortcuts or trying to find a shortcut, right? But the reality is those shortcuts really don't exist, right? If you want real results, you got to be willing to do the unglamorous, repetitive work, right? Day in and day out, even when there's no results, right? That's where the magic happens. And just using this TikTok thing as an example. Some of you might be familiar with it, some of you might not, but I talk about it every day in like my TikTok group, because there's people that are, they have a guarantee that says they're going to hit this level, but they haven't hit it yet, right? And so they're frustrated, right? Their video only got 200 views when they think it should have thousands, like this one or that one. It's just not how things work, right? You just have to be patient. It's not about just doing the work. It's about sticking with it when things get tough, right? And everybody loves the idea of success, but not the process that kind of leads to it, right? It's not sexy to talk about patience and persistence, right? That's really the foundation of everything that's worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's about embracing that grind, not avoiding it, leaning into it, not pulling back from it. If you're not willing to put in the work and give it time, you're just fooling yourself. Let's be honest. There's a sense of entitlement in the way people approach things now. You hear about it a lot with like the millennials, and I'm actually like the first year millennial, so I'm talking, and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, but exactly. But that's the way they approach things. They think that they're owed success just because they show up. They get the participation trophy just for showing up. But showing up is just the start. What matters is that what you do after you show up, and whether you keep showing up every single practice, every single game, right? Even when it feels like nothing is happening, you're on the bench, you never get put into the game. But guess what? You still got to be there for your chance to be put in the game. And that's where people drop the ball. They get bored, they get discouraged, and eventually they give up.
Yeah, exactly. And giving up doesn't mean that the system failed, right? It just means that they failed, right? They failed to commit. It's like we talk about it in training, where like people won't journal, right? They won't journal because then they don't have to take responsibility, right? Or they'll take a signal, and that way, if it loses, well, it wasn't my trade idea. It was, it was David and James, right? They're the losers, right? So it's really about mindset, right? People need to stop whining about not getting instant results and instead focus on building their discipline, right? And it's about asking yourself, am I willing to put in the work even when I'm not seeing results, right? Even when I'm not seeing immediate payoffs. And that's what really separates the people who succeed from the ones who are just sitting on the sideline complaining. They don't get in the game, like David said, right? Life's not a vending machine, right? Where you just push a button and it goes gunk and pops out what you want instantly, right? It's more like being a farmer, right? Like farming, you plant, you nurture, you sow your crops, what is it? Sow it, and what's the other half of sowing?
Reap.
Yeah. reap your crops, the rewards, and eventually, right? You stay consistent, you harvest, right? You reap your rewards.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. You reap what you sow, right? And I couldn't have said it better. I mean, if it's like we've lost sight of that long-term mindset. But the truth is, people that you see successful, the people that you see winning, are the ones who play the long game, whether it's fitness, business, relationships, trading, anything. You've got to keep at it. People need to stop lying to themselves and admit that the problem isn't the system, it's their own lack of effort and patience. Yeah, sure, it's hard, but that's the point. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, right?
Yeah.
And there'd be no room for you. But the good news is there's room for you, because maybe not everybody's willing to do it.
Yeah, guaranteed everybody's not willing to do it. And even the people that start it won't finish it, right? So, I mean, if you want something meaningful, you got to earn it, right? No excuses, no shortcuts. Just be consistent, focused effort over a long period of time, and it'll pay off, right? And that's how and even if it doesn't pay off, we don't talk about this, but even if it doesn't pay off, right? That's still the stuff that builds character, right? It's working hard at something and having it not work off or pay off. This was my son when he was young, right? I don't mean to go down a big tangent, but I just thought of this.
Sure.
He was a gifted baseball player, right? Phenomenal. Very high baseball IQ is what they say. Like coaches say that about him, and now he's coaching. But he worked so hard all the time. Like every day he'd come home from school or late at night, we'd be out in the cage when it's 20 degrees outside hitting baseballs, right? And I know nobody else on his team was. And then he'd hit 475 for the season in baseball, which is, if you don't know, that's really high. It's really good. but the point is that like I wanted that to pay off for him, and it never did. right? At the time, it never did because he got injured. He had some ruptured distance back, and he never got to go to the next level. He never got to play college baseball, right? But he has such a positive attitude, right? He put in the work, and he's like, I have a kid that's a C's gets degrees type of kid, right? He went to college, C's get degrees, got by with C, got his degree, no big deal. This other kid, the always hustling, right? And it doesn't make one kid better than the other. I'm not comparing my kids like that. It's just a different type of person, right? But this kid was always hustling, always doing the extra work. Honors program in high school, honors program in college. Got his degree just like the other kid, right? And now he's coaching college baseball, right? He never played college baseball, but now he's coaching college baseball. So it paid off for him. But at the time, I was disappointed because sometimes you put in the work and it doesn't pay off, right? But it's still, still a payoff, right? You may not see it right away, but it's still building character. It's building your integrity, your confidence. You knew you did everything possible. And Dave and I talk about this every week and about every topic we talk about, right? Yeah. That's kind of why I pulled this in. But that's how you build something real, right? And the sooner that you realize that, the sooner that you'll start seeing results, right? But only if you're willing to stop whining and actually do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that, today we're coming at you pretty strong, right? And we're not here, it's tough love because we really, truly, from the bottom of our hearts, want to see every single one of you succeed. Absolutely. Right? You're here because you saw something valuable in this group, in this community, and we want to see you succeed. But sometimes you got to have a little tough love and say, you know what? Your husband isn't the problem, your wife isn't the problem, the trading community, the trading strategy, the risk management, your boss, all of these things that you're going to have in life, your kid who's a jerk, right? They're not the problem. You've got to take responsibility for the work that you're doing and just stay consistent with it. So hope you get value out of this today. Definitely appreciate everybody watching. And as always, we'll be back next week with probably not as much force as we have today, but hopefully you really, we do hope that you'll take it to heart and that you'll really think about it and apply it to your life. So God bless, and we'll see you back next week.
See you guys.